Hey guys, Kevin with Lifestyle Overland here, coming to you with another maintenance video for your 5th Gen 4Runner. Today, we're replacing the brakes all the way around.
Step 1 is always safety first, so begin by parking the vehicle on a solid, level work surface like a driveway or garage and place it on a set of jack stands. This is also a good time to get your safety glasses and gloves out as well. Remember, it's up to you to make sure this job gets done with all your fingers and toes intact. Next, we're going to remove the wheels and begin the brake caliper removal process.
Okay, so now that we've got both of the front wheels off, we're going to go ahead and start disassembling the brake assembly, and then we're going to also work on replacing the Uni-Balls today. Alright, so using a 17mm socket, we're going to take these two bolts loose, which will remove the caliper from the spindle.
Sometimes removing the brake calipers can be a bit of a challenge. You may have to try several different methods to break them free. Ultimately, we needed more leverage. A breaker bar would have been the best tool for this, but we were working with our travel tool set. Before fully removing the caliper, make sure the brake line retainer bracket is loosened and have a bungee strap, stiff wire, or an additional jack stand nearby to support the caliper and avoid putting strain on the brake line or ABS wire.
Alright, now that we've got our brake caliper off, I'm going to go ahead and remove the disc itself. There's a little trick, especially if yours have been on for a while, using this 12mm bolt that we just removed from the brake line. We're going to insert this into the threaded holes, and that's going to push that away from the actual mount. Now, depending on how dirty this disc has actually gotten, you might have a lot of rust and gunk built up in there. So take your time, clean it out, maybe use some penetrant or something like that to kind of get all the rust and stuff out of the way so that this bolt can work for you.
The bolt from the bracket turned out to have some thread issues, so we grabbed 2 spare M8 bolts from our hardware kit instead. Using 2 bolts helps pull the rotor off in an even pattern.
Alright, it's as easy as that. Just make sure you got a couple of M8 bolts in your kit. If you're running this Toyota, you need to have those in there anyhow, just because it's such a common connector. So from here, we're going to move forward with replacing the rotor itself. There are a lot of high performance braking packages, but for us personally, the Toyota genuine parts are probably going to be the highest quality you're going to find. Now, there's drilled rotors, slotted rotors, but for us, the idea of having a cavity for mud and dirt and debris to reside in, as well as removing mass from a part that is absorbing a substantial amount of heat, is just not a good idea. There are a lot of opinions out there. I'm sure you have yours. That's fine. We're going to run factory replacements. Alright, so when it comes to brakes, you got a lot of options out there. You can run into your nearby parts store and pick up rotors and pads, various brands, but for us, we've had such good luck with the factory components that we're going to stick with them. The rotors that I have on here currently, or that I just pulled off I should say, have 131,000 miles on them. They are not warped, they have never been turned once, and they have performed extremely well, but it is time. It's time to replace them, and so we're replacing them with what has worked, and that is the Toyota genuine parts. Okay, so while we were at it, we went ahead and installed some new front bearings by Blue Pit Bearings. This is a fully assembled kit, ready to rock and roll, no presses required. So we got that taken care of. Now we're going to move on to replacing the brake pads. Okay, so while the old pads are still in the caliper, we want to use either a pair of channel locks or a C-clamp to press the caliper back into its most open position possible. The reason we use the old pads is we don't want to damage the face of the pistons themselves. Now, I got in trouble because one of the earlier episodes you saw me doing that, and I've never had a problem. I've never broken one, but it's better to be on the safe side. Alright, so I'm going to start by pulling out this spring here. Lay that aside, you'll need that again. And then that'll allow these keeper pins to slide out. And again, hang on to those. And now you can pull out this inner spring. Just be careful because it will go flying. Alright, like that. Now you're ready to pull out your pad. Now there's going to be some shims inside there. You don't want to lose those. Maybe even leave them in place if you can. Pull out the old. Now you'll notice this pad has this tab here. This is your indicator, so when your brakes start getting low, you'll hear a squealing sound. That's your indication that it's time to change your brake pads. So you want one of these on one side and another pad with no squeal bar, as you can call it, on the other side. It doesn't matter which direction they go, or I should say it doesn't matter which side the indicator goes on, just as long as you have one. Right, like that. And sometimes it's easier to go ahead and put in the top pin. Just make sure you have the hole turned approximately where you're going to put this final spring into place. Makes it a little bit easier. Now I can put this guy into place. This is just a retainer spring. In there, your brake pads are done. It's always good practice to use a solvent or a brake cleaner to clean off brand new rotors. A lot of times they'll ship them with a packing grease or a packing wax or something like that sprayed on there to reduce the risk of rust. What that can do though is get into your brand new pads and degrade your braking capabilities right out of the box. So got a little bit of paint thinner here. I didn't have any brake cleaner, but that should work for what we need to do today. Honestly, I don't even think that Toyota has any grease on these, so not too bad.
Reinstallation is just the reverse of removal. Once you have the caliper mounted, ensure you torque it back to factory specs and reattach the brake line bracket. We are torquing these front calipers to 137 foot-pounds. Remember to always verify torque settings for your own vehicle. Now, let's move to the rear. As with the front, remove the two mounting bolts from the calipers and support it out of the way with a wire or bungee. You can disassemble this unit further to replace the slide pin gaskets and re-grease the pins to ensure proper return. Ours were in great shape from the last brake job, so we left the unit together this time around. Remember to include the anti-rattle shims during the reinstallation of the new brake pads. Now, ensure your emergency brake is off before removing the rotor, or bystanders will laugh at you for spending an hour beating it with a hammer. Now, reinstall the caliper and torque to the proper specs, which our research says is 74 foot-pounds in the rear. Next, we'll repeat this process on the remaining two wheels. Here's a quick visual walkthrough on the process again, with some fine tunes to help keep it interesting.
Alright guys, so that wraps up our brake installation on 5th Gen 4Runner. Hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it informative. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave us a comment and subscribe if you're not already. Got a lot of other videos coming on the 5th Gen 4Runner, so stay tuned for more. Until then, safe travels.
Lifestyle Overland is supported by viewers like you on patreon.com/lifestyleoverland. If you like what we do, consider joining our community for access to our favorite campsites, exclusive content, and so much more. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Thank you, Lifestyle Overland patrons, for your continued support.